Time now for a look at what's happening in our community, presented by Williams Lumber and Home Centers.
It's 8 o'clock. Time for your next project. Visit Williams Lumber and nail it right the first time.
If you're getting a new phone number, you might be surprised to see 3 new first digits. Here's your Spectrum News in 90. That's because a new 329 area code is being rolled out tomorrow. Officials say this is because of strong demand for cell phone services in the Hudson Valley and Catskills. Current phone numbers with the old 845 area code will not change. Tomorrow is also the deadline for small businesses in the city of Kingston to apply for money through the city's ARPA Small Businesses Grant Program. Up to $10,000 is available for 100 businesses in the city. To find out if you're eligible and for more details, you can head to engagekingston.com. And if you want to make Dutchess County more inclusive, the county's Commission on Human Rights is looking for new members. You can fill out an application on the county's website. The deadline to do that is March 31st. Now let's get a check of your forecast with Ryan Finn.
We're in the midst of watching showers exit here this evening. We're going to get back to dry weather for a brief time here tomorrow with seasonable temperatures expected. And then a cloudy, breezy, raw day ahead here on Saturday. It's mostly going to be rain for areas in the Hudson Valley, but you go up in elevation, some wet snow a possibility. I don't think this will disrupt travel much, but definitely not a nice day to be outside here for tomorrow. We will dry things out Sunday, but strong gusty winds will be in play.
Thanks for joining us here on your evening on Spectrum News 1. I'm Karen Edwards.
And I'm Marissa Jacks. The debate over how money in the proposed state budget should be spent to keep you at home safe is our top story here this evening.
Governor Kathy Hochul defending her proposed public safety initiatives, including changes to bail reform laws. She's doubling down after seeing state data released this week that shows shootings are down 34% statewide outside of New York City so far this year.
But where do the people who are directly affected by violent crime want to see funds go to make a difference? Our Wendy Wright talks with some people who are jumping into the ring to offer their thoughts.
I used to be in the streets, and I stopped being like in the streets just to go find something positive to do.
Q Penn says if he didn't meet his mentor, Kevin Walker, he'd likely either be in prison or dead.
I had it in the wrong path, doing the wrong things, chilling with the wrong crowd, doing negative stuff.
Q mourns the loss of his brother who was murdered. He has more than just himself to look out for, though. He has 5 sons, ages 4 to 14.
Me and my kids, we've been through a whole lot.
Q says his boxing coach, Kevin, made the difference in his life.
He helped me and my kids start the way, finding other things to do, rather than being in the streets. Let my kids be in the streets. I'd rather them be in the gym, training, safe here.
Coach Kevin works mostly with inner city children and teens who've been directly affected by violence.
These kids are traumatically affected. The best thing I can do is try to point them in the right direction, but we try to create an environment where they know, one, they're safe to talk, to come express how they feel. We understand that they hurt. Being an adult now that went through traumatic experiences myself, that we understand that sometimes these kids just really need someone to talk to.
Who did Coach Kevin talk to? Boxing legend Charles Murray. In fact, this is the welterweight champions gym, where the Rochester native offers tips from the corner.
That's one of the things that I've noticed about a lot of children. It's not as many role models as it used to be when we were younger.
So Charles the Natural Murray opens his gym to Rochester youth.
Create spaces for these children. They need it. The city, the state of New York is reflecting that. We see all the violence, we see everything that's happening all across New York State and every city. These kids need safe places to go. They need somewhere where they can express their creativity rather than the violence.
With all the discussion about where funds should be allocated in the effort to fight crime, a message to lawmakers from those who fight the fight every day.
Gyms and more places for kids to go to learn things like this. It'll be less crime in cities, states, everywhere. Like, it's just like nowhere for kids to go do anything but find trouble.
And these boxers say maybe some good things would happen.
Start smiling, you get to see these beautiful kids, or sometimes they walk in with grumpy faces, and once they work out, they feel so excited, they feel great. Boxing makes you feel great.
In Rochester, Wendy Wright, Spectrum News.
Republicans in the state assembly are calling for changes to the state law that raised the age of when a teen can be tried as an adult. The 2017 measure upped that age limit from 16 to 18 years old. At the state capitol today with a group of district attorneys, the Minority Conference is proposing several changes specifically for dealing with felonies. Those include requiring violent felony offenses to stay in criminal court unless all parties involved agree for it to move to family court, replacing language to allow for district attorneys to prove certain circumstances for keeping nonviolent felonies out of family court, giving more access to judges and attorneys to documents, and requiring a victim of a crime committed by someone under 18 to be notified of the outcome of the case. Republicans have criticized the original policy, saying it opened up young people to be pawns in larger criminal conspiracies.
What Raise the Age did, it created an Indeed.com advertisement for work for gangs. They empowered youth to commit crimes. And this legislation will go a long way to fix those problems.
We have reached out to state Democrats for a response to these calls for reform.
The CEO of TickTock facing Congress for the first time. This comes as a growing number of lawmakers are raising concerns about the app's data policies and its ties to China. As our Taylor Popolars reports, several members on both sides of the aisle seem unconvinced by the CEO's promises of accountability and transparency.
More than 150 million Americans use TickTock, but several members of Congress made clear Thursday they think the app should be banned.
TikTok surveils us all, and the Chinese Communist Party is able to use this as a tool to manipulate America as a whole.
I'm not convinced that the benefits outweigh the risks.
TikTok CEO Shou Chu promised the House Energy and Commerce Committee that he will ensure Americans' data remains secure.
We have to earn their trust with decisions we make for our company and our products.
There is widespread suspicion in Congress that TikTok's parent company, Beijing-based ByteDance, is beholden to the Chinese government and has higher-ups willing to do its bidding. That concern, part of a growing mistrust in Washington about China's business practices and government. Chu said TikTok is not owned or controlled by the Chinese government and that he's working to have Americans' TikTok data stored on U.S. soil and overseen by the Texas-based tech company Oracle.
Some politicians have started talking about banning TikTok.
Chu previewed his testimony on TikTok earlier this week, encouraging the app's fans to reach out to lawmakers or even come to Capitol Hill. Some users did just that. Small business owners and teachers who touted the app's importance.
I got a chance to stop by, leave my name in the guest book.
TikTok allows me to break down those classroom walls and educate millions of people around the world.
But most lawmakers at the hearing remained skeptical. One introduced parents of a child who died by suicide after being exposed to self-harm content on TikTok.
Your company destroyed their lives.
Others quizzed Chu on whether TikTok censors certain material.
The massacre in Tiananmen Square.
That kind of content is available on our platform. You can go and search it.
I will remind you that making false or misleading statements to Congress is a federal crime.
Some lawmakers showed support for TikTok on Wednesday, saying the app offers a platform to often marginalized people. They warned against unfairly pushing anti-China rhetoric.
It poses about the same threat that companies like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Twitter pose.
Some lawmakers want TikTok banned in the U.S. Others want the government to investigate the company and consider restrictions while also tightening data privacy laws. The Biden administration has said it wants TikTok to be sold to a U.S.-based company or potentially face a ban. In Washington, Taylor Popolars, Spectrum News.
It's considered the unseen injury, and it can take a lot of scans to diagnose. We're talking about brain damage and how some are pushing for more funding for this kind of care. Our Kevin Hayes walks us through the issue next. Stay with us.
What's up, everyone? I'm Spectrum News meteorologist Ryan Finn. The last of the showers making their way through here this evening. So just dealing with wet roads and mostly a low impact. A little bit of road spray, potentially some ponding. Conditions drying out for us tonight and into tomorrow. So weather-wise, the Friday morning commute should be smooth sailing. As we get a look at our temperatures for tonight, definitely a bit colder than last night, dropping back into the mid to upper 30s around the Hudson Valley. 50 to 55 for tomorrow. Skies turning partly sunny for the afternoon, maybe even mostly sunny. And the Catskills and Sullivan County dipping back to within a few degrees of 30 tonight, remaining on the breezy side. We'll actually look for the wind to drop off a little bit for tomorrow. High temperatures mostly in the mid-40s. So by 10 p.m., outside of a stray sprinkle, a stray shower, conditions are dry, and we really dry things out after midnight and into Friday morning. A cloudy start, but we'll see improving sky cover throughout the course of the day. Tail end of the day could actually be mostly sunny for us. We'll look for clouds to return here tomorrow night and light mixed precipitation by Saturday morning. I don't think this is going to have an impact on travel. Yeah, it might be cold enough to start as a snow rain mix even around the Hudson Valley, but this is not going to have any kind of sticking power. And during the day, it's mostly just rain showers up and down the Hudson Valley. Not a nice day to be outside here Saturday, 40 to 45. We will be dry and warmer on Sunday, but it's quite windy.
Brain injury. It's considered the unseen injury, and it's sometimes the hardest to treat. Depending on the severity, it may take extensive scans and research just to diagnose. As our Kevin Hayes finds out, in a lot of cases, it's hard to secure critical care past an initial appointment, as advocates are pushing the state for more money.
The brain is the most magical thing we have, but it can be awful at the same time, and it's very variable. It's like a snowflake. No two brain injuries are alike.
Unfortunately, so is the range of care after one is diagnosed.
I drink water all day long because I find when I'm dehydrated, I don't function as well like everybody, but I really go down.
Kara Moran had her first as a teenager, a concussion playing softball. Years later, conditions at work in a Western New York school district led to a chemical attack on her brain.
I recovered after about 6 months. I started feeling better. I started doing better. I had no therapies, no help, no MRIs, no CATs, nothing. For a long time, even after the injury, like after 2 years, I finally got a scan.
Like so many others dealing with mild to moderate injuries, there's not the structure or backing from hospitals or the state for much needed long-term care, leaving many in logistic or mental horrors.
I felt like there was as many papers as my tears on the carpet. Repaired with a laser. My POTS doesn't go up and down.
And sometimes physical.
It was so painful. I said to my husband, if I don't get better with pain, I can't be on this planet, because it was so intense.
Kara has survived her first 2 brain injuries and a nasty bout with COVID that set her progress back.
I want to make a difference. I want people not to go through what I did, and it was awful.
It's a personal mission, and part of the Brain Injury Association of New York State. They're looking for $1 million from the state budget to help set up a continuum of care.
And those people that have severe injuries have the Medicaid waiver. They are funded to have case management. But myself, and with mild to moderate, you have no idea how hard it was just to live and try to coordinate your care with no one.
First steps in a larger solution.
We need like hubs almost in each city that are all trying to work together for people like me. And we also need case management. If we can get that, I don't know, that would cost more, but this is a good start.
With what Kara knows from personal experience and what doctors know from 3 years of a pandemic.
There's a tsunami of people with long COVID, and it's brain injury. brain trauma.
In Buffalo, Kevin Hayes.
We're going to need as much help as we can get.
Spectrum News.
She was a woman of many firsts whose legacy still lives on today. Marion DeForest forged her own path in a time when many women couldn't. This Women's History Month, our Victoria Halakar tells us how this journalist and advocate continues to inspire.
She was a playwright, she was a journalist, she was an advocate.
Marion DeForest played by her own rules.
She was quite the character. I don't think anybody could say no to her.
Living for a couple of years in a darkened room because of an eye injury.
And that's where she learned how to remember everything that people said.
She began as one of the first female reporters in Western New York.
She could, fill out a story with just about every detail that was in there because everything stuck in her head.
A lover of the arts, DeForest supported many organizations, including the Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra, which she helped form. But again, a trailblazer, she did her own thing, creating the first play adaptation of Little Women, inspiring others along the way.
Kathleen Cornell was an unknown person, and somebody said, who puts an unknown as the lead character in a play? And she got there, and Marion said, you will knock them dead, and she did.
But perhaps her biggest contribution,
she must have been the Energizer Bunny of the time,
was founding the Zonta Club, an organization that still exists to this day for the advancement of women.
It was at the end of World War I. Women had spent the last 4 years learning how to do everything that had to be done. When men came home, they said, okay, you can go back to your kitchen. No, we learned how to do things.
It grew from a few chapters to an international organization, even working with the United Nations on issues like trafficking, education, health, and more.
This club was there to have women get into the community and bring up and support women and girls.
Vivian Cody serves as the treasurer of the Buffalo chapter.
Marion does have a mink, but this Marion can't wear mink.
She keeps DeForest's story alive, dressing up as her to give talks throughout the region.
We've been doing this for a while. It's successful because we're still here.
In 2001, DeForest was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame, but her impact goes beyond any accolades.
The result of her efforts brought people to blossom and to take care of these things, and that we now are now legacy things that we talk about without even realizing that Marion was behind it.
Victoria Halakar, Spectrum News.
Lace up your skates. We're hitting the ice. Our Rachel Hopmeyer is going to go one-on-one with Buffalo Sabres rookie Jack Quinn. She's going to talk to him all about adjusting to life in the NHL. We'll be right back after this.